Friends, hope you are fine. I am Dr. Kanwar Chauhan, Professor of Sociology, MD University, Rohtak. We shall now be discussing different theoretical approaches of social stratification. Social stratification, however, refers to an ordering of society according to vertical principles. The task consists in locating individuals or roles above and below each other. Gisbert defined social stratification as the division of society in permanent groups or categories linked with each other by relationship of superiority and subordination. Stratification and inequality have captured and hold the attention of social philosophers, moralists, intellectuals, and social theorists in the origin of recorded history. It is generally agreed that Plato was the first Western theorist to attempt a systematic examination of the nature and consequences of inequality. The theorists of most relevance to any contemporary analysis are those who have written in the last century and a half. This was the period during which industrialization has altered the face of Western societies. Karl Marx lived and worked during a period of rapid and disruptive social change, stimulated by the Industrial Revolution. In the light of this environment, it is not surprising that he became concerned with the origin and future of capitalism as an economic system. Marx's theory of social stratification is based on his concept of class and class struggle. According to him, in every society, there are two classes that control the means of production and the other that has no such control and is exploited by the former. Marx and Engel viewed the whole of human history as divided into four major phases, capitalism being the fourth stage. Each period is characterized by a set of social classes determined by the relationship to the means of production. The application of this approach resulted in a fundamental dichotomy between those who had only their own labor to sell are proletariats, and those who owned capital and land are bourgeoisies, along with several unstable and transitional classes such as peasant and businessmen. These later classes were not of much theoretical importance to Marx, for he felt that they were rapidly disappearing as distinct groupings, eventually destined to become part of the proletariats. Marx also suggested that as the state comes under the domination of capitalist class, it becomes an instrument of their interest. It is this that is meant when honor or capitalists are called a ruling class. The domination of society by a ruling class was not simply economic and political, but also social and cultural, in that it was able to shape the laws, values, arts, beliefs, and institutions of the total society, the ideological superstructures. Friends, now we shall be discussing Weberian approach in relation to social stratification. Max Weber emphasized the existence of three types of groups based on different forms of inequality and the fact they may be independent of one another. Weber suggested three types of market situations, which does not differ in principle from Marx's idea of property and lack of property, all based on the same dichotomy. There is labor market which divides society into employees and employer, the market money market which separates creditors and debtors, and the commodity market which differentiate between buyers and sellers and landlords and tenants. According to these, who participate in all these markets may be member of three distinct economic classes. This economic diversity is one of the factors which prevent a feeling of common identity among those Marx called the proletariats. Weber termed second forms of inequality social honor or esteem. Thus, society may be stratified according to status groups made up of people having similar prestige. Prestige may be based upon property, income, ancestry, ethnicity, education, or occupation, but the consumption pattern and lifestyle are primary. The third form of inequality for Weber was power. Groups differentiated on the basis of relative power were called parties. Power may have its origin in class position, in prestige, or in coercion, money, persuasion, or hawks. Finally, we shall now be discussing functional theory of stratification. Beginning in the 1940s, a number of American sociologists developed both separately and collaboratively a theory which has come to be known as functional theory. It is a theoretical formulation which seeks to explain the origin of the unequal distribution of prestige and material rewards. As its basic premise, functional theory asserts that all societies are confronted with dual problems of getting people to full and fill certain positions, and once in those positions to perform the required duties and obligations. The main proposition suggested are some propositions which are mentioned by the functional theorists are summarized and can be conceptualized in the following way. Some positions in society are more important than others for the survival of the society. Some positions in society requires more training and or more talent than others. The continued functioning of society requires that such positions be filled by qualified people. An incentive to motivate qualified people to fill the positions are rewarded. Society allocates proportionately greater rewards to those positions which are more important and require unusual and scarce talent. Inequality and stratification are both indispensable and positively functional for society. Further, functional theory is a generalized framework. It does not purport to explain either the relative degree of inequality or the forms of stratification in particular society, which depend upon existing social values, external conditions, level of development, and historical circumstances. Thank you. Best wishes to all of you.